Good day. My name is David Wild, and this is the first part of a three-part lecture on Chapter 9 on Strategic Management from Connect Master Management 2.0. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain the concept of strategic management, to describe the components of the strategy process. You'll be able to develop a SWOT analysis as part of an organization's strategic planning, to relate the importance of industry analysis to strategic management. You'll be able to summarize the 5 forces framework, to analyze an industry using the 5 forces model. You'll be able to explain the relationship between value creation and competitive advantage, and to compare differentiation and cost leadership strategies. You will be able to describe the ways firms can position themselves strategically, and to explain how resources and capabilities are a source of sustainable competitive advantage for a company. Finally, you'll be able to analyze the competitive strategy and the corporate strategy of a firm. So, let us begin by talking about a fundamental question. What is strategic management? For companies to perform well, they have to make good strategic decisions, and these decisions are special in several ways. First, they require a firm to do the right things. Strategic decisions are about enhancing the effectiveness of the organization, rather than improving its efficiency or doing things right. Strategic decisions are important because, first, they require firms to do the right things, enhancing effectiveness, not improving efficiency. Secondly, they have both an internal and an external aspect to them. And finally, they require integration and consistency across the organization. Managers often use the term the business model to convey how the firm's main policies fit together and translate into higher profits through pricing, cost structures, and volume growth. An organization's strategy is an integrated pattern of decisions it makes to achieve its objectives through resource allocation and actions in markets. Strategic management, therefore, is how firms formulate and implement these decisions. The academic field of strategic management offers a set of concepts and tools to help firms in the formulation and implementation of strategies. Sometimes people distinguish strategy content, or the components that make up a firm's actual strategy, from strategy process, or how the strategies get built and carried out. It is important to recognize that the strategy process consists of 2 parts. First, strategy formulation is the development of strategies. And secondly, strategy implementation is how organizations execute or carry out these strategies. While it might be useful to separate these 2 steps in the strategy process, in practice, they are closely intertwined. The formulation of a good strategy must take into account how employees in the organization will implement it. Otherwise, it is just an idea or concept that may not work out. Likewise, implementation of strategy leads to new information that can be used to improve a strategy in the future. So, in summary on what is strategic management, strategy is about doing the right things and enhancing the effectiveness of the organization, rather than improving its efficiency or doing things right. Strategic decisions have both an external and an internal aspect that management must consider. The external environment may play an important role in the strategies management implements as part of its ongoing responsibilities. Decision makers must also take into account a firm's internal resources and capabilities, what the company is good at, and where its weaknesses lie. And finally, strategic decisions require integration across an entire organization and must reinforce the company's overall mission. The strategy process. When engaging in the strategy process, managers carry out two types of analyses. The first is external analysis, and the second is internal analysis. The result of this process is known as SWOT analysis, SWOT analysis, the evaluation of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for any firm, which can be an important management tool. External analysis can consist of evaluating the opportunities, the O in SWOT, available to an organization and the threats, the T in SWOT, that the organization faces. The identification of opportunities helps managers find new possibilities for the firm or better ways to serve existing customers. Often, the key threats a firm faces originate in particular features of an industry in which a firm operates, as well as changes that are occurring in the industry. These changes can be a source of threats to an organization. These changes can also present new opportunities brought about by the emergence of new customer needs, technologies, or service opportunities. Internal analysis is the opposite of external analysis. It involves a careful appraisal of the firm's strengths, the S in SWOT, and its weaknesses, the W in SWOT. Strengths might include intellectual property, knowledge, and expertise embedded in patents. It could include a thrifty culture that focuses on cutting business expenses, or long-term relationships with key customers or partners. A firm's weaknesses might include a lack of patents on critical technologies, might include something like top management turnover, or a brand that has lost its distinctiveness in the market. The root sources of a firm's profits can be found in both the industry in which it competes, as well as the firm's internal resources and capabilities that are unique. Now let's talk about SWOT analysis. Once managers complete both the internal and external analyses, they should be able to identify and evaluate strategic alternatives and then select which strategy to implement. Implementing this new strategy will enable the firm to take advantage of opportunities and the firm's strengths while limiting the disadvantages presented by the firm's weaknesses and any threats that the firm is facing. As you can see by the graphic from Figure 1 from the text on your screen, this SWOT analysis provides a foundation for the strategy process. The key advantage of SWOT analysis is that it is flexible and applicable to a broad range of issues facing any firm. It can be helpful to organizations in many ways, including, first, determining what barriers exist in meeting objectives. Secondly, in brainstorming alternative courses of action. Third, in describing competitive and other threats an organization encounters. Fourth, in communicating the results of environmental analyses. And finally, fifth, identifying the need for organizational change and potential avenues for that change. SWOT also has some important limitations, and like all tools, it can be misapplied. Managers might create long laundry lists in the cells of the SWOT framework, or entries that are not differentiated based on their overall importance to the firm's operations. SWOT is inherently subjective, and it doesn't provide a quantitative analysis of the benefits, cost, and risk of a decision. SWOT is also not very rigorous. And the industry analysis we discuss in the next section allows managers to go deeper into the economics of their industry in a more thorough way. So, in summary on the strategy process, the strategy process includes an appraisal of the external environment to identify an organization's opportunities and threats, and an assessment of the firm's key strengths and weaknesses. SWOT analysis provides a useful starting point to identify strategic challenges and opportunities. And from this foundation of the SWOT analysis, managers identify and evaluate strategic alternatives and then select and implement an appropriate strategy for the organization. And so, with that, we'll end the first part of this three-part lecture on Chapter 9 on strategic management.